The day my parents told me I had to give my inheritance to my sister, I felt something inside me snap. My father sat at the head of the table, calm but cold, while my mother kept repeating that family comes first. They didn't ask me, they told me. The money, $200,000, was left to me in my grandfather's will. It was meant as a foundation for my future, a way to secure stability. But my sister had racked up debts, made reckless choices, and somehow I was expected to clean up her mess. I remember staring at them, my voice trembling with anger as I said, "It's mine. He left it to me. Why should I give it away?" My father's response was sharp, "Because she needs it more. And if you love this family, you'll do what's right." That was the moment I realized they didn't see me as their son anymore. They saw me as a wallet. My name is Julian, and I am 35 years old. I was betrayed by the people I trusted most, forced into an impossible choice that tore my family apart. What followed was a storm of arguments, broken trust, and decisions I could never take back. After that first conversation, I thought maybe they were just speaking out of panic. Maybe, after a night of sleep, they would realize how unfair it was to demand I give away my inheritance. But the next morning, my mother showed up at my apartment unannounced. She carried a tray of food, like she always did when she wanted to soften me. But her eyes betrayed her. She didn't come to check on me. She came to convince me. "Julian," she said gently, "your sister is drowning. If you don't help, she could lose her house. She could end up on the streets. Do you really want that on your conscience?" I clenched my jaw. The truth was, I did care about my sister. But I also knew she had created her own problems: credit cards, loans, reckless spending. My grandfather had left me that money for a reason. He trusted me to be responsible. When I told my mother that, her tone changed. She stopped begging and started accusing. "You've always thought you were better than her. You've always been selfish. Your father and I are ashamed of you." Her words hit me harder than a slap. My own mother, ashamed of me. And then came the threat I didn't expect. "If you don't do this, Julian, you won't just lose us. You'll lose the entire family." I stood frozen, staring at the woman who raised me, realizing that love in our house had always been conditional. A week later, my sister showed up at my door. Unlike my mother, she didn't bother with soft words or trays of food. She came in crying, clutching a folder of overdue bills and letters from the bank. "Julian, please," she begged, throwing the papers onto my table. "I'm drowning. They're going to take everything. If you give me the money, I can pay it all off and start fresh." Her voice cracked as she spoke, and for a moment, my anger softened. This was my little sister, the girl I once protected on the school playground, the one who used to cry when she scraped her knee. But as I looked closer, I noticed something. The bills weren't just utilities or mortgage payments. They were credit cards full of luxury purchases, vacations, jewelry, nights out. "You didn't just fall into this," I said quietly. "You chose it. You lived above your means, and now you want me to pay the price." She slammed her fist on the table. "Don't act like you're better than me. You've always had everything handed to you. This is just money. You'll make more. But me? If I lose this house, I'll lose my kids too. Do you want to destroy your niece and nephew's lives?" That cut deep. She used her children as a shield, twisting my sense of guilt. For a moment, I wavered. But then she said something I will never forget. "If you don't give me the inheritance, I'll make sure Mom and Dad cut you out of theirs." The tears were gone. Her face hardened. And I finally saw her for what she was: desperate, manipulative, and willing to burn me to save herself. My father called for a family meeting at their house. I already knew what it was about, but part of me hoped he wanted to mediate, to finally be fair. When I arrived, my parents sat together on the couch while my sister stood beside them, arms crossed like a soldier ready for war. The atmosphere was heavy, like I'd already been judged before I even opened my mouth. My father cleared his throat. "Julian, your sister needs this inheritance. It is the only way she can keep her life together. Your mother and I have discussed it, and we believe it is the right thing for the family." I asked the question that had been burning in my chest for weeks. Why did Grandpa leave it to me then? Why not her? My father's eyes went cold. "Because he knew you would do the right thing when the time came." I almost laughed. The right thing? To give away what was legally and rightfully mine? To clean up the disaster my sister had created for herself? Then came the blow I wasn't ready for. My father leaned forward and said, "If you refuse, Julian, I will cut you out of my will. Everything, the house, the land, the savings, it will all go to your sister." The room spun around me. My own father was blackmailing me. Not with strangers, not with money from outsiders, but with the legacy of the very family I was born into. And the worst part? My sister smirked. She knew she had already won them over. After that family meeting, I drove home in silence. My chest felt heavy, my mind spinning. I knew I couldn't just sit back and let them corner me. So, the next morning, I called a lawyer that I sat across from in his office, explaining everything. My grandfather's will, the pressure from my parents, my sister's debts, the threats of being cut out. He listened carefully, flipping through the documents I had brought. Finally, he looked up and said, "Julian, let me be clear. They have no legal claim over this money. The will is explicit. Your grandfather left it to you, and only you. If your parents or sister try to take it, they'd have no chance in court." For the first time in weeks, I felt a wave of relief. But then the lawyer leaned back and added something that made my stomach twist. "But they can still make your life hell. They can cut ties, smear your name with the rest of the family. And if you care about those relationships, they'll use that against you. Legally, you're safe. Emotionally, that's another story." I nodded, realizing he was right. It wasn't about the law. It was about control. My parents didn't care about justice or my rights. They cared about obedience. The lawyer gave me one last piece of advice. Decide what matters more, Julian, the money or the family. Because you may not be able to keep both. Driving home, I knew the choice was coming. And whatever I chose, nothing would ever be the same again. Armed with the lawyer's words, I went back to my parents' house. I decided to tell them straight. The inheritance was mine, legally untouchable, and I wasn't going to hand it over till we sat in the kitchen. My father leaned back with his arms crossed, silent, while my mother stood by the counter, wringing her hands. I told them exactly what the lawyer said. The will is airtight. You can't take it from me. For a brief second, I thought my mother might back down. But instead, her face hardened. "If that's your choice, Julian," she said coldly, "then don't expect us to be part of your life anymore. We will not support a son who turns his back on family." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Turning my back on family? I wasn't the one demanding money that wasn't mine. I wasn't the one threatening to cut people out. "Mom," I said, my voice shaking, "you're asking me to destroy my future so that my sister can keep living like nothing happened. How is that fair?" She stepped closer, her voice sharp like a knife. "Life isn't about fair, Julian. It's about loyalty. And right now, you're showing us you have none." My father finally spoke, his tone flat. "You have until the end of the month to decide. Give the money to your sister, or you're no longer welcome here." I looked at both of them, realizing something painful. This wasn't a family anymore. It was a transaction. And for the first time, I considered walking away for good. A few days later, I got a call from my bank. The woman on the line asked calmly, "Mr. Julian, did you authorize a transfer request for $200,000 to your sister's account?" My heart dropped. "What? No, absolutely not." She explained that someone had come into the branch with documents, claiming to act on my behalf. The request was flagged because the signatures didn't match perfectly. They froze the account and wanted me to come in to verify that I already knew who it was. My sister. Rage boiled in my chest. It wasn't enough that she begged, threatened, and manipulated. Now she was trying to steal what wasn't hers. I drove straight to her house. When she opened the door, I didn't even wait. "You try to take my money behind my back? Do you realize that's fraud? You could go to jail." She didn't even flinch. Instead, she smirked and said, "You wouldn't let it get that far. You wouldn't let the mother of two rot in prison, would you?" That was the moment something inside me broke. The sister I thought I knew was gone. She wasn't desperate anymore. She was dangerous. I turned away, my voice trembling but steady. "This is the last time you'll ever get close to me. You're dead to me now." Her final words as I walked out cut through me like glass. "If you walk away, don't expect to ever see this family again." And for the first time, I realized maybe that was exactly what I needed. After the bank incident, I knew I couldn't stay halfway in this family anymore. I sat alone in my apartment that night, staring at old photos, Birthdays, Christmas dinners, vacations where we all smiled like nothing could break us. But those smiles were lies. The next morning, I made my decision. I called my parents. My father answered. "I'm done," I said flatly. "I will not give away the inheritance. I will not let you threaten me, guilt me, or blackmail me. From now on, I'm out. Don't call me. Don't come to my house. Don't expect me at holidays. If you've chosen her over me, then live with that choice." There was a long silence on the other end. Then my father's voice, cold and final. "So be it." I hung up, blocked their numbers, and even changed my locks, just in case my sister tried another stunt. The silence that followed was painful at first. Days without calls, weeks without visits. But slowly, that pain turned into something else. Peace. For the first time in years, I could breathe without someone tugging on me, demanding more than I could give. It wasn't freedom I'd gained. It was clarity. Months passed in silence. No calls, no visits, no sudden knocks at my door. At first, I kept expecting them to break through my walls, but they didn't. They truly cut me off, just like they promised. Then one evening, as I was finishing dinner, my phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. My hands froze when I read it. "Julian, it's Mom. Please don't ignore this. Your sister is in trouble again. She needs you." For a moment, my chest tightened. Old instincts tried to pull me back. The same guilt, the same fear of being heartless. But then I remembered the fraud attempt, the threats, the manipulation. I remembered her smirk as she tried to steal from me. I didn't reply. An hour later, another message arrived. This time from my father. "If you still care about your family, this is your last chance to prove it." I stared at the screen, my pulse racing. They still hadn't changed. Nothing I did, no boundary I set, would ever be enough for them. I did the hardest thing I've ever done. I deleted the messages. And that night, for the first time, I slept without fear of what they'd say or do next. It has been over a year since I cut my parents and sister out of my life. At first, the silence was unbearable. No birthdays, no calls, no family dinners. But over time, I realized something important. Silence can also be peace, that I used my inheritance the way my grandfather intended. I invested wisely, saved carefully, and built a future where I didn't need to rely on anyone else. Every time I check my accounts, every time I pay my bills without fear, I feel his presence. He trusted me, and I honored that trust. I miss my family? Yes, but I miss the idea of family, not the people they became. What I had to accept is that love without respect is just manipulation. And sometimes, protecting yourself means walking away, even if it breaks your heart. If you're listening to this and facing something similar, here's my advice. Never let guilt or pressure force you into giving up what you've worked for or what was rightfully left to you. Family should love you for who you are, not for what you can give them. Thank you for listening to my story. If it resonated with you, I'd appreciate it if you subscribed and left a like, not just for me, but so more people who feel alone in situations like mine can hear that they're not, because no one deserves to be betrayed by the people they love most.